Hello, everyone. Yeah, welcome back to part two, where we're going to carry on with our chat with Colin Machlachlan. So how are you doing again, Colin? You okay?
Yeah, all good my end, and yeah, looking forward to part two.
Yes, good. So in the first part, we talked about your career in the SAS and transferable skills to the business world and what you want to do going forward. You were talking about, coming up with sort of corporate training and, when you're going around speaking to the corporates, then having that as something you can offer as a continuation of your relationship, etc. So do you want to carry on with that?
Yeah, so I've always loved that idea of teams coming together and the cognitive side, a lot of the thinking. Physical's fine, but I've never been one that's been interested in shouting at people to do press ups and run up a hill. I've always been interested in getting a bit more value out of it than that. And I see that side of it, in the first few series of SAS Who Dares Wins, where individuals come on it and they grow from it. And they're a lot better a week later when they leave than what they were when they started. And I think for people that watch the show, hopefully they can conquer their fears and, get outside, get to the gym, improve themselves. So I like that side of it. And like I said, I'd love the Krypton factor to come back, or again, something along a TV show like that. And I would love to be the host of that. But in the meantime, I have all these access to all these different estates up in Scotland, and I formed a sort of three-way partnership, which is called McCarvin, which is a sort of hybrid of Machlachlan, Carnegie, and Vaughan, the three of us that are involved in it. And so we decided we'd put these packages together for corporates, individuals, teams, events, and they would be around mission based. So gathering information, rescuing a downed pilot, getting from A to B, escaping behind enemy lines, putting bits of a puzzle together. And we would design these missions so that when they arrived, they wouldn't know, what was going to happen in front of them, and they would just have to deal with it, so that when they go back to their own workplaces, they're better equipped to be able to deal with change, unexpected surprises, working together with limited data, not knowing what's ahead of them, and getting the sort of best operationally as they could. So we've put them together, and there's a few states around Scotland where we look to do that, some more remote than others. And yeah, I'm looking forward to post-COVID, those taking off in one shape or another, and getting people from sports teams in there to blue chips to big sales teams to tech companies to universities to the cadets, the whole sort of range of people in there to test them in a quite stunning environment.
Yeah, I'm envisaging something between, cross between paintballing and that sport they do where you're running and you're getting the clues and you're going through. Um, is it that sort of thing? Is that what am I
Yeah,
on the
well,
ball
we've
there?
tried to keep a sort of blank sheet of paper. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to say, you come up with what you want in terms of number of days, your budget, the things that you want to address, whether it's teamwork or leadership or procrastinating or dealing with adverse conditions. And we'll put together a sort of mission planning package for that. And so we can design it bespoke around sort of their needs. So it's not a sort of, you go paintballing for an hour and you kind of know what you get. It's we'll design it, but it'll have some exciting stuff in it. So you could be abseiling into a killing house and taking out sort of terrorists and saving the hostages. You could be rescuing a downed pilot, but equally it could just be a bit about learning bushcraft, learning to map read, learning how to prepare your equipment for going out, and then getting from A to to B, doing different puzzles at each checkpoint. So yeah, we're sort of we've designed a few little things like that, and it's just putting it out there now to corporates to see who's interested. And again, a lot of these people, the UK Challenge guys and TSFE, have shown an interest. So hopefully we're going to do some events in Scotland over the near future.
Yeah, I was just thinking then you could actually, because reality TV is massive at the moment, etc. So you could actually make a TV program out of that as well.
Yeah, and I guess that would require different sign-offs so that if you're doing something like that, I mean, there could be a, a TV spin-off from that in terms of, there is a mission and who can do it and who can do it in the fastest time and, with all the rest of it. So it's a sort of hybrid of sort of escape room, crystal room,
I was
krypton
just thinking,
factor.
Crystal Maze is what I was thinking of. You could have an outdoor version of a Crystal Maze type thing.
Yeah, and I guess that would be part of it. One of the other things I've always wanted to do is create the world's hardest or longest assault course.
Yeah.
And so, you'd use some of those big Monroes in Scotland and lakes and rivers and then just in between them scatter all these different sort of obstacles, whether they're physical obstacles or cognitive. And, you set a time for that. It's almost like in Top Gear where you have this sort of stig and all the racers and they all have their times and stuff.
Yeah. Have you seen Steve Austin? Have you seen Steve Austin's program on Sky?
I don't think so.
Oh, you want to check that out? You'll love it. It's great. Yeah, it's exactly sort of what you're describing, like a tough obstacle course. They actually they play challenges against each other, and he knocks them all out. And they have like from America, they have like firemen and coppers and military and all that sort of thing, and they all knock each other out. And then they have an obstacle course at the end. Yeah, and whichever one, so they battle each other out through rounds, and they got to like push each other out of like a rope thing and all sorts of, do a pulling like a tug of war, but in water, yeah, and with no grip and all sorts of things like that. Then at the end, they got to two guys got to do an obstacle course. I think what you're saying there, the krypton factor and that's you could do a similar sort of thing to that, where record it for TV. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I've been speaking to Bear Grylls about it because he's got the TV show The Toughest Race at the minute, World's Toughest Race, and I've been looking at that. And it reminds me a bit what you were saying about that Steve Austin's thing from the Gladiators. Remember, they pitched themselves against the Gladiators.
That should come back.
They could go on. Yeah, I love the Gladiators. And I actually I auditioned for the Gladiators way back in the day, and I got picked. But I was a reserve. So you go down to Birmingham NEC, they run you through all the events. And when I was down there, I think I broke the record for the Eliminator, which was the assault course at the end, how fast you could get through it. But I was never picked. And the guy that I was reserved for, he never made it. He got beat at one of the stages. So I never got on. But I was hoping I would have got on, and I was able to take a whole army of Royal Scot supporters with me if I'd have got on, but yeah, that's a blast from the past.
Have you I tell you what I love, which is similar to that now, and I thought, are you still fit? Are you still active, Barry?
I think at that age now where my body reminds me, so it's more aches and stuff like that, I'm not as flexible, or the CV's probably not as good, but I try and remain fit and active.
Because the Ninja Warrior, I like the Ninja Warrior now, but I used to love, the Gladiators, and that should definitely come back, Gladiators. So, and the Krypton Factor, awesome. And you could actually make the Krypton Factor more, tactical, so because it was a quiz and then the obstacle course, but it could be more, sort of military tactics type quiz,
Yeah, I think it has to be something that ticks both boxes. So for me, Ninja Warrior and Gladiators and that were a bit too much about the physical rather than the cognitive. The Krypton Factor was a fairly healthy mix, but I think that probably went more cognitive than physical because all you did was the assault course at the end.
It was more a quiz show with an assault course at the end, wasn't it? But,
yeah. So I'd like to see something that's got more of a healthy balance of both, so that you've got to be equally as good at both to get to the end. And I've got a few ideas up my sleeve, so I'm just waiting for producers to give me the nod, and I'll let them know.
Yeah, well, I used to love obstacle courses myself as a kid. When you went to places and they had all the rope swings and the monkey bars and all of that. And I think in fact, actually, that'd be a great business for you, is having the world's largest obstacle course. I think that sort of stuff for kids is missing a bit now. I think they got a big one in Centre Parks, and I think they have a lot of those high jungle things, the high level ones. They haven't really got like a real tough obstacle course.
Yeah, and sort of my one would be, I mean, this would be over sort of 20 miles, and it would involve the sort of typical things you would get in a military type obstacle course or assault course, but they would be elongated, they would be harder. So your nets you would be go over would be far higher. The scramble nets would be far longer. Your rope swings would be huge, and you'd have sort of these
Or
long
zip
zip
wires,
wires.
long zip wires.
Yeah, but on a grand scale,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think once you build something, because everybody wants to do the hardest thing, the biggest thing, everybody
yeah,
wants to
yeah.
go up Everest, everybody wants to run a marathon. So once you create something that just by its very nature is the longest, hardest, toughest, everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to have the T-shirt, the medal, the certificate, the
Tough
picture.
Mudder, Tough Mudder, the obstacle things, they're all massive at the moment.
That's exactly it. And one of the things a lot of these estates in Scotland has is a lot of real estate with a lot of, big mountains, challenging features, not a lot of people or infrastructure around to get in the way. So I think they lend itself to it. And of course, on an international scale, if you're going to do something that's tough, the Scottish Highlands is the epitome of where you're going to do that.
Braveheart, isn't it? You have Mel Gibson and Braveheart's face advertising or something. How brave's your heart? Something like that. You can bring a bit of folklore into it and legends and stuff. Same as so in Wales. So I'm part of the tourist sector a bit. I got a tourism.wales website, and in Wales, I've attended a couple of the tourist events. Visit Wales events, and they probably can't visit Scotland, I imagine. And they invest a lot in these type of projects. Yeah, they've invested a lot in Zip World, which is the massive one in Wales, and it's gone huge, and there's just more and more and more investment in it. So sometimes you've got the profile, and you take the right business partner with you, we've got all the right backing or investment or whatever, and they'll give you the money from the government because it's a massive tourist attraction.
Yeah, and I guess it's one of the things we've been up to probably the last few months is seeing what's available from either individual councils or on a national level. And we have a Visit Scotland as well. And of course, if you're the country that has the world's toughest, obstacle course or assault course, there would be an element of tourism and people coming in and money going into the infrastructure. So yeah, it'd be nice to do something like that. And of course, being Scottish and fiercely patriotic, I would want it to be here. I would want it to be somewhere that draws that in, particularly after a period where everybody's been sort of confined to lockdown and stuff. Everybody would just wants to get out and do something social, get out in the fresh air and be active and stuff. So yeah, hopefully it takes off.
Yeah, well, you could do it somewhere like in Wales, in Pen y Fan, Brecon. That would be an ideal place in Wales. So, like that bit at the top of Pen y Fan, and you've probably been up there yourself. It's like the most used, the most shot bit in Wales. Everyone's got a picture of that. It's on everyone's Facebook and everyone's whatever. If you've got a similar area in Scotland, then putting it somewhere around there where that you've already got the flow of traffic and people are already going there, then it's done then, isn't it? You just pick a bit of land around there, put your course on it, and there's lots of people already, like the foot of Ben Nevis or somewhere like that, somewhere where lots of people congregate anyway,
Yeah, and I like to tie it into sometimes the history behind that area. So whether you've got the Wallace Monument or David Stirling's monument, or you've got the area where the SOE, the Special Operations Executive, used to get trained before they parachuted into France with a transistor radio. I think those sort of areas have a bit of history behind them and a legacy. So if you feel like you're walking in the footsteps of giants and all the history that's went before you, it has more meaning, it has more value, and it's not this man-made concoction of something that's completely fake. You're actually following something that historically many years before has had a massive significant impact.
Yeah, definitely. And you get a lot of Americans over when you add it to the culture and the history and all of that. You get You know, they like all of that. They love all the Celtic stuff, don't they? Like when I go globally networking now, because I got my Welsh flag, everyone's like all the Americans are like, oh, brilliant. What's that flag? What does it represent to that? Because they don't know where Wales is. Same as Scotland. Like, you know, they only know England. They always think Wales is in England. And I'm like, oh, it's my country flag. Like, you know, it's just like your stars and stripes. He said, it's just a bit better. It's like it's got a dragon on it.
Exactly. And is the Welsh language not one of the oldest languages in Europe?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, I think isn't all the Celtic languages? They're all pretty much the same. They're all Celtic, aren't they? They're all Celtic based, like, you know. So I think even because you've got a Scottish language as well, haven't you? And there's an Irish language, and I think they're all very similar, Celtic based.
Yeah, the Gaelic sort of language. And yeah, it's always interesting. And I think Americans especially love that sort of warrior ancestry, and because their history only goes so far back, in terms of and so a lot of them want to know about their history and where they came from and stuff
Yeah.
their sort of forefathers went through.
Yeah, that's it. You know, because they're very patriotic, they're very into history, and they all know that, once you go back 50, 100 years, whatever, then the history goes to Ireland, Scotland, the Eastern Europe, wherever it goes. Like, I was watching a fascinating program about George Washington the other day, documentary, 3-part series, and it was a bit like a film, each one.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. That was really good, about the history of America and how America formed.
Yeah, and was that a Scottish actor that was doing George Washington?
It could have been. It may have been. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I read something about that. But yeah, no, that's I'll have to watch that. I've been watching a lot of different box sets and TV recently.
Well, you'll love that one. I loved it. It was because it's about tactics and battles and all of that as well. I actually, because we're not American, I never learned much American history in school. It was all, kings and queens and all of that. And I was fascinated by it because it was like a film anyway. It was a really good, well made documentary. It was like watching three-part movies, like a box set or something. But it was really good history in it as well, and no wonder they liked George Washington, because he was the first president of America, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I think I love all the historic side of things, and I did history at uni, and I think when I think back to when I was at school, I'm not sure I was as interested in history as I am now, but one of the good things about going to college and doing a study of sort of everything was that it helped me decide what I was going to do at university. And I think people go to university now quite young, and they don't really know what they want to study. They're just going to get a degree, whereas I was a bit more fortunate, and that's probably why I did as well at uni. But I really enjoy history, and anywhere I go when I'm traveling, I always want to find out a little bit of the history there and what happened in years gone by, because it's always an interesting side of things.
Yeah. Well, I actually hated history in school because I didn't particularly like all the kings and queens and that. I loved geography, and I loved all the, about the hills and the mountains, the valleys and populations and all that. But that's the bit of history I love. I love the what happened to, populations and my country especially. I watched a lot of documentaries recently about the history of Wales and how Wales was formed, and Owen Glyndŵr and the coal mining and all of that. I like history that changes the world, if you like, has an impact on the planet. That type of history is what I'm into.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people are surprised that there's as many castles in Wales. They think that castles are all, Scottish or they're Irish, but actually, for the size and the population, there's a lot of castles in Wales.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think because a lot of Wales actually stands for. I only discovered this recently. It stands for outsiders, Wales. Yeah, and actually the outsiders were when all the Celts went, when England was getting dominated by all the different people, etc. And I think that's why there's so many castles in Wales, because everyone rushed to Wales, and then they all fought against whoever was the invaders, So that's why there's so many castles.
Yeah, and it's funny, when I was in Hereford, when I was based down there with the SAS, all the local Herefordians used to like telling me that one of their laws that they still have in place is that it was still legal to shoot a Welshman with a crossbow on a Sunday or something. And I just thought that was a weird thing that still sort of stands in place from years gone by,
Yeah, well, I say Wales was seen as once the kings ruled England and they couldn't get control over the Welsh, they were the outsiders, they were the outlaws, they were the Robin Hoods, they were the people beyond the law, if you like, the lawless land. So, us in Wales, we like that type of culture and heritage because we like to be the ones who like to upset the apple cart. That's why, well, Scotland's the same. We're very Celtic, clan type based. And so we want to put one over. Everyone wants to put one over on England because they were the ruling class, if you like, the ruling nation, and we're the outlaws, sticking one up them, if you like, which is why I've always loved programs like the Robin Hood and all of those type of programs,
Yeah, and I think there's one common thing there, and England's in the middle of it, isn't it? And
Yeah,
whether you're Irish or Scottish or Welsh or the Americans, it's all, as long as you get one over the English, and that's sort of another thing that sort of stood the test of time, where obviously now it's a bit more friendly banter, but even I remember even when I was back in the SAS and there would be the English football on, and of course Scotland had never qualified for any of these events. So I just had to support whoever was playing England,
yeah.
So I'd be there with my Brazil top or my Greece top or whatever. And of course I'd get pelters, but it's all friendly banter. But yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So yeah, is there anything else you involved in that you want to cover, or we got to most of what you're doing?
No, and I think we've covered most of it in terms of the charity side of things, Who Dares Cares, and of course this has been a busy time for them, with COVID, and we've seen a rise, and hopefully the app, the Who Dares Cares app, will be out this year and on the Apple Store. So keep an eye out for that, because that's a great tool for anybody that's encountering stress. Really, we've got a lot of helpful tips, and we can signpost people on, and we have a sort of 24/7 capability on that. So yeah, looking forward to that coming out this year, and hopefully that will help a lot of people.
Yeah, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you or follow you in order to, know all of the things that you're involved in and the charities and all that sort of thing? Which is your best sort of social media of choice or best platform, etc.
So these days, it's not about having one, I guess. It's about being on many different ones. So I'm on Instagram and I'm on Twitter as Colin Machlachlan 22. I'm on Facebook, or charity has a Facebook page. I've got a website, Call 22 SES. So there's lots of different platforms. I'm even on LinkedIn and everything. So whoever wants to get me for whatever reason, if you want to get me, you'll find me.
Yeah, well, I would say you want to do, if you're on LinkedIn, it sounded like you're on LinkedIn, but you don't do too much with that. But for the corporate side of things, what you're looking to do more of, that would be the place to do that in. So at the moment, LinkedIn is the best organic reach platform. They haven't gone down the advertising route like Twitter and Facebook and Insta. So you can reach quite a lot of people when you post stuff. So when you post it, if you get 10 likes quickly, which you will because of your notoriety and stuff, if you can get 10 likes quickly, it goes viral. And the more likes you get then, the more viral it goes. So LinkedIn's a really great platform, and it's never been so busy. So many people are on it now and for long times, because obviously everyone's like not working from home and not doing field appointments, and so they're either doing Zoom or they're on LinkedIn generally all day long,
Yeah, so hopefully when our McCarvan stuff goes live and we're doing a lot of different events, we'll maybe put some posts out on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually come across an event today. It's called. The guy was on just before you. He's running an event. He's from the old UK Business Expo, which used to be in London, the big one, and the business show. Yeah, he used to run all of them. He started out on his own now, and he's got an event coming up called the Business Revival Conference, which is about, he's expecting to have 10,000 people sign in for this conference. And it's about, what businesses need to do to revive themselves, to get back to normal and all that sort of thing. So they're the sort of things. This is a new event, so they're probably looking for speakers. And I think it's all online, it's virtual. So you want to have a chat with the guy I was speaking to. I'll tell you his name in a minute. It was Ryan, But yeah, I can probably do an introduction to you if you're interested in speaking gigs. You may be looking for some more speakers.
Yeah, seems a neat fit, and I enjoy the speaking, whether it's virtual or in person. So yeah, anybody looking for a speaker, I can normally tailor the topic around my experiences, adventures, or things I've learned along the way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, sometimes an opportunity like that, you can get an exhibition stand and a speaking gig in maybe exchange for the fact that you're speaking. You can, and then you can sell the corporate events and stuff on the back of the speaking,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so that would be a good strategy. And just trying to think. I'm always, because I've come from a sales and marketing background. I've been in sales and marketing for 30 years. I always like to help people with a little bit of advice or just a bit of creative thinking that, that from experience, you get some different angles, don't you? So I knew those events were going to start coming because the whole event sector has been, brought to its knees, as you've said, and so it was only going to take a bit of time for them to go online, pivot, and find a new way of servicing the people they've been servicing for years. And this is the first one that I've heard of, and Intrabiz, which I've heard you speak at as well. They're doing a global summit as well in November. So that's the sort of start, really, of these online events taking place of the old offline ones,
Yeah, and I guess I've done quite a few of these virtual talks now, so I'm quite used to being able to present, either use slides or not, do Q&As or not. So I'm quite. In the past, you might have got a lot of speakers that weren't used to doing that, but I'm probably as experienced as doing virtual talks as I am in person now.
Yeah, well, I think that would be another good angle for you to go into as well. Actually, you're setting up a virtual, motivational type event or a mindset event where you get, maybe a few different people who you met along the way who've got a similar sort of message and story to you about, that resilience and mindset and all of that. That could be something. There may be a gap in the market for that type of event in Scotland. A Scottish
Yeah.
event. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I think we pretty much covered, a nice broad section. So I'm going to leave it there, I think. Is there anything, sort of something last you'd like to add?
No, not at all. It's been a pleasure, and no, you know where I am, Mike, and best of luck throughout this until we come out the other side. And I look forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And I like to help people out with their sales and marketing and all that sort of thing as well. So feel free to tag me in. I think we're connected on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Or any socials, I use them all the same as you. I'm omnipresent. Tag me in, especially anything to do with charity. I'll definitely blast the hell out of that. But anything that you're doing, tag me in. I'm more than happy to share it too. I've got quite 50 to 100,000 entrepreneurs following me across all my social media platform. I got 3 LinkedIn accounts, which have got 15,000 followers on just across those 3 accounts. I got a Facebook page called Welsh Biz, which has got about 5,000 followers on. So I got quite a decent coverage. I've been marketing Intrabiz for 8 years and building and growing with them. So, all the people in sort of Wales and the Southwest, most of the people who go networking or to events, will definitely follow me. And if ever you're doing anything not virtual or online, then they'll tune in from wherever to watch that. So good luck with everything. Best of luck with the corporate thing. I'm interested. Hopefully, I think you should pitch the Krypton Factor to come back idea. So get out there and put it in front of some producers because they're bringing everything back, like you said, and that would be a great one.
Yeah, I look forward to it. So we'll see. Let's try and get out there.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, then. Thanks a lot for coming on the podcast and for sharing some information about all of your life. And have a great day.
Thanks, Mike. Speak soon.
Cheers. Bye bye. And there's nothing else left for me to say other than have a great day. I know I will. And thanks very much for listening. Cheers. Bye bye.